What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back here for another edition of Unpopular Opinions. This time it is from Facebook. Next time it will be from YouTube. So everyone keep an eye out for the community post, as I will be posting on there in the next couple of days for you to give us your unpopular opinions. But this time it is from Facebook, and I'd like to thank all of you guys on Facebook for literally sending us so many. Every time we put out an unpopular opinions post, it literally just goes a bit crazy. But you excited for this one, Sim?
I know you love.
I know you love your unpopular opinions.
I love it. I like to stuck in. I want to know what rubbish you got today. Come on.
All right, let's go. The first one is from David Harris, one of our favourite Irish guys who comes on the fan
Irish
cams
Dave.
and all that. And he says, if Dele Alli has another bad season this year, we should cash in on him this summer.
It's hard to disagree with that. It'll kind of be three average seasons in a row, wouldn't it? I think
You say average though, he still gets goals and assists.
Yeah, I think average by his standards. I think you would say.
So if it is average by his standards, who says the guy that we bring in, average by that guy, whoever that might be less than that?
Yeah, but you have to hope you bring in someone better, someone who's more consistent. I think Dele, this might be a bit of a make or break season for him. I think he's really got. I think he's been dropped out of the England squad recently. I think he's finding himself kind of on the periphery of that kind of thing, and he was seen as one of the best youngsters or best up-and-coming talents in Europe, but he's not a talent anymore. He's 24 years old. He's really got to start producing consistently. And Mourinho said about him, the difference between you and a real player who's really, really top is consistency. Consistency. Is that all right? Consistency. Consistency.
Consistency.
I was consistent in my saying of that. But I think he has to start adding consistent performances, goals to his game, and not just rely on moments like he does. He has to be consistent throughout the whole game, not giving the ball away cheaply, not flirting in and out of games. He needs to start getting involved in the game more, and he needs to start producing week in, week out.
And apparently, towards the Amazon documentary, Mourinho's been alluding to how lazy Dele is at training, and he's not a very good trainer. I'm not sure Poch would have stood for that.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder if that was early on in the documentary and he's changed or whatnot. So we have to wait and see. Maybe throughout the season he's improved. But I think you kind of get that vibe from Dele, that he kind of turns up on the pitch and everything comes naturally to him. He doesn't try too hard for what he does. I don't know him personally. I'm sure he tries very hard. But he did say of Mourinho though, from the quote, he said, he's not a disastrous trainer, but he's no Harry Kane. So he's comparing him to somebody who's probably one of the best trainers in the Premier League.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, if you're a professional player playing at the level that Dele is, you got to aspire to be someone like Harry Kane in training. Everyone's got to put in their work. You know what I mean? Otherwise, how can you expect to be picked every week?
Maybe that's why he's dropped off a bit in his level. Look, I think as well, in terms of getting the price we want for him next, if he has another bad season next summer, would be the best time to cash in. You're still probably looking at like 50 million for him, I would say.
All right, let's move on to Jake Sandler. We got a couple from him, and the first one is Eric Dier and Harry Winks are not good enough for Tottenham Hotspur.
I don't know about that. I think they are good enough. I think they've shown that they under Mourinho, especially, Dier's really improved. And I think Winks is a quality player. I really believe in Winks. I think he's so good.
If you're talking about Eric Dier, if you're talking about him at central midfield, I agree with that. If you're talking about centre back, I think he's proved in the little time he's had there under Jose Mourinho the last couple of games that he is good enough. And in terms of Harry Winks, consistently maybe he isn't good enough, but you've seen on the odd occasion how good Harry Winks can be, and you're calling on Harry Winks to show these performances consistently. And if he can do that, then he's more than good enough for Tottenham Hotspur.
He starts for you can get to the England squad regularly, Harry Winks. I think he's I think the central midfielders of his ilk, I think in terms of midfielders who like to pass and control the game, I think he's up there. I really do. I'm a big believer in Harry Winks, and I think if we were to sell him, I think big teams would be in for him. I really think that. And Eric Dier, I still want to see some more consistency over a longer period of time at centre back, but I think he has all the capabilities for sure to be a top class centre back.
All right, another one from Jake is Foyth has the potential to be very good.
I agree. I think he does have the potential to be very good.
I don't think that's an unpopular opinion.
No, I think Oh, I don't know. I think the fan base is kind of to and fro with Foyth, and I think at the moment it's like no one is going to be that upset to see him leave. I think.
Look, we haven't seen much of him since Jose's come in. Let's be honest. I think he's had he's very unlucky with injuries and what have you. But I think under Pochettino, I thought we saw signs of like this guy can be a really good player. We don't know if centre back is going to be his first and foremost position. He's had a few stints at right back. He plays right back for Argentina. You know, this guy is an Argentinian international and he hardly plays for Tottenham. So I think that tells you a lot about what kind of player we're dealing with here. And as well, I think Slav was talking the other day how he thinks Foyth could be a CDM. But I think Foyth has got the makings of a very, very good player, but he just needs to brush up on maybe his physicality. I feel maybe sometimes he got brushed off the ball a bit too easily, but his technical ability is there for sure.
And composure as well, very comfortable on the ball, very comfortable to come out and defend and pass it. He's not, unlike someone like Davinson Sanchez, he doesn't feel like he's like a bull in a china shop wherever he gets the ball. So I feel like he doesn't panic or shit himself. So I think Foyth has that going for him. I think he needs more regular minutes. I feel bad for him. I feel like he can have a good game, but every time Foyth makes a mistake, he's out of the team straight away, and he's judged more harshly than other players. Foyth, I do think there's a good player in there. I really do.
I feel Foyth's mistakes are very polarised, and I think that one comes to mind when we played Arsenal at the Emirates, and he made that awful mistake on the halfway line. I think he slipped, and they went on and scored. He played centre back pairing with Jan Vertonghen that day, and I actually thought Foyth played very well apart from that mistake. And Jan Vertonghen was absolutely awful that day. I think did he get sent off as well? And after the game, Spurs fans are just completely laying into to Juan Foyth, and I was like, because he made that mistake, obviously. But when you look at the game as a whole, I thought he actually played quite well, but the fans were just completely lambasting him and then not even going in at Jan Vertonghen, who had a completely terrible game and got sent off. So I think
he's just harshly.
I think he gets very harshly criticised sometimes, Juan Foyth. But anyway, let's move on. Liam Foster, it's just simply ENIC out.
ENIC out. That's not an unpopular opinion, is it? ENIC out. Yeah, I mean, it's very frustrating, isn't it, with ENIC? That's the thing. Do you think ENIC is more of a problem than Daniel Levy?
I think so. I think you never know what the true story is behind everything, but when you look at ENIC, they're owned by a man called Joe Lewis, and he is a multi-billionaire. If he wanted to spend 100 million on our transfers, it wouldn't hurt him in the slightest. When you're looking at Daniel Levy, he's just the puppet for pretty much Joe Lewis to manage everything. He's the CEO, he's not the owner at the end of the day. So I think if we could bring in some like billionaires, or better billionaires, to join the club, but the guys that were going to take over Newcastle, for instance, the Saudis, along with the Rubin brothers, if we were bringing in him with Daniel Levy to front it, I think then maybe that could be a better way to go.
But this whole ENIC out thing, I think it's ridiculous. I really do. I tell you why. It's because this club now, they've built it to such a stage, because they've done such a good job building the club up, which you got to be given props to. The club is now worth 2 billion, around that. So you're looking at someone who with a multi-billionaire. You're not looking at somebody who's got 10 billion. You're looking at somebody who's got 50 billion or 100 billion. That amount you're looking at, who's going to invest 2 billion to buy the club and then invest money in the transfer market. You're looking at a multi-billion pound project here. So it's all well and good us saying ENIC out, get them out. It's like, who's going to come and sump up the cash? We need a buyer. Unless there's like a buy and ENIC are refusing to sell.
Jeff Bezos, mate. Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, unless Bezos is coming in for the money and ENIC is saying, look, we're not selling under any circumstances because we want a cash grab. This is a stupid conversation. It is, because where's the money coming from? Who's buying this club? And who knows if we get bought and the owners are going to be any better than ENIC. There's no guarantee. So unless it's like some rich oligarchs who are coming to make Spurs their toy thing, there's no one really who can be much better in terms of putting us in a sustainable way of moving forward. I know it's frustrating. We're just as frustrated as anyone with somehow the club is run, but you got to look at the bigger picture and you got to see what the world is. And this, there's no point protesting saying ENIC out, get them out of the club, because there's no
solution.
There's nothing. What were you saying? ENIC out for what? Because there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
You're not calling on anyone to buy the club. There's no one who's putting an offer. So what are we saying ENIC out to? Just no one? The fans run the club? What are we saying?
Look, at the end of the day, I'm all for this I'm not all for it, but I can understand everyone that's like ENIC out, Levy out, blah, blah, blah. They're stealing money from the club, all this kind of stuff. Because look, the fans, if you look at just the fans in an isolated situation, we have got a very bad deal being fans of Tottenham Hotspur at the end of the day. You know, we're paying the most expensive season ticket prices. We've just dropped down to Europa League. We don't spend hardly any money in transfers. You know, that stat that we're on the bottom of the most spent of the revenue of the club. You know, it's crazy when you look at clubs like Leeds and just promoted clubs spending 30-40 million on players, and we have got a very bad situation in that kind of sense. But when you look at the thing as a bigger picture of where ENIC have taken us from when they picked up the club to now, it's a completely different story. What kind of world could you imagine Spurs being in a Champions League final? That would never have happened under Sugar. It would never have happened under Urban Scholar. You know what I mean? It would never have happened under any of these chairmen. Daniel Levy has done a completely miraculous job at Tottenham Hotspur, the way they've been running it. But you know, they lack the kind of vision to take us to the next level. That's the problem.
Yeah, but there's no alternative. So I know we're frustrated, and I know, but so like ENIC out, it's just there's no point to it. It's just like there's nothing to it.
I agree. Let's move on. Naomi Russell. She says on the flip side, Levy is the best chairman in the Premier League.
Levy is. I think most people, I reckon, inside of football, who aren't fans or just people at the top level and whatnot would probably agree with that. They'll probably say Levy is definitely up there with the best. But he just frustrates me. He frustrates me all the time. He never budges. He never compromises. He never compromises to get a deal over the line. That's what all the top clubs do, and that's what he refuses to do. He's very good when he's in a position of power, and when, you know, with the Højbjerg deal did fantastic because he's got 1 year left in his contract and he only wanted to join Spurs. So Levy holds all the cards. But when a deal where, you know, Levy, Spurs need to shell out an extra 5 million to get their man over the line, he won't do it. He'll never do it. He'll always say, no, I'm sticking to my guns, and if it lets the deal go die, the deal will die, and that's it. And that's the most frustrating thing about Levy.
That's the thing, son. Levy, you know, you can praise him and you can like completely berate him all in the same sentence every time, because as much as he is probably the best chairman in the Premier League, he's probably the most frustrating chairman in the Premier League all at the same time. His
biggest strength is his biggest weakness, his stubbornness.
All right.
And that's the fact of the matter. But I think from financially, he is probably the best chairman in the league.
Another one from Naomi Russell. She says Danny Rose could still be good enough.
I mean, yeah, if he bucks up his ideas and knuckles down and says, look, I'm going to be, whether he says I'm going to be at Tottenham for 1 more year, I'm going to give it my all or whatnot, he is technically from a technical standpoint the best left back at the club. So I think if he gets back to his best, he is good enough, but it remains to be seen whether it's realistic.
Look, he went to Newcastle. The first thing he said before he joined Newcastle, or when he went to Newcastle, was like, you can't get a decent fish and chip shop or a chippy in London, and that completely showed in his what he's looking like up at Newcastle. We spoke to Lee from Newcastle Fans TV. They didn't want him to sign the extension, or so that for them to sign him permanently. So I think that says everything you need to know, to be honest. I think Danny Rose is probably finished as a top-level footballer.
Probably. If his attitude's not right, then yeah, that's the main thing. He has to get his attitude right. And if it's not right, then no, you can't be good enough.
But I take your point that he technically probably is the best left-back at the club, but his head's not in football anymore.
So then, yeah, and he also said, he's made comments before that he's fallen out of love with football because of everything around it, you know, the racism and everything, which I don't blame him for. It's just that's the reality, and if he's not up to it, then you can't put your eggs in his basket.
From Dan Pearce, he says Danny Rose should be our first choice left back. So I think we kind of covered that one.
No, I would say no.
Yeah. Naomi Russell again, she says Mourinho will turn toxic by Christmas.
By Christmas? That's very quick. He's probably already turned toxic. I've seen the Amazon documentary. I think he, at the moment, from what I've seen from the squad, I think he's got everyone on board and everyone on side for the time being. Look, we all know with Mourinho, sooner rather than later, or eventually, I mean, I would say it turns toxic. He usually does at every club he's been, whether it's with the board or with the squad. He usually does turn toxic. But I think for this season at least, we should be okay.
I think his first full season usually is never toxic. Let's be honest. At Man U it wasn't. At Chelsea it wasn't. At Real Madrid it wasn't. Everywhere he's gone, his first season has been, I think, mainly his most successful year. When you look at,
I think his second season usually.
Maybe his second season, but when you look at the places it's turned toxic recently, Man United, you had players that weren't on board with his methods, same as the latter part of his Chelsea career, albeit he did win the league there.
Well, Chelsea is more, he fell out with the Bromwich in the end, didn't it? More than the playing squad.
Right, yeah, you're right there. At Tottenham, it really seems as though everyone's singing along the same hymn sheet at the moment, and I don't think it is going to turn toxic with Jose Mourinho, at least not till next season, 2022-23 maybe. I think that's when you've got the potential of it turning toxic, when everyone's been kind of defending for too long, pretty much.
Probably. When the shackles lifted, probably. Yeah, I think give it another year after. I think maybe we'll see. But I think for now, I think he should be okay. Not by Christmas. That's too early.
George Wall says Vincent Janssen would have been perfect under Jose Mourinho.
Why? Why? What evidence do you have for that? Vincent Janssen? I don't understand that.
It's most definitely an unpopular opinion.
That's definitely unpopular. I mean, I'd rather probably Soldado under Jose Mourinho and Vincent Janssen. I don't know why. Why would he be good under Jose?
He's saying that, I think, because he's a tall, physical, that looks physical striker. That's about it. That's the only thing we got going on there.
Peter Crouch would have been great under Jose Mourinho.
Probably would have.
Yeah, you're probably right, actually. I don't know. Vincent Janssen he's not been great since he left Spurs, has he?
He's been injury ravaged. He went to Mexico, got a big injury. At Spurs, when he wasn't playing, he got a big injury. The guy's just pretty much a bit of a crock, unfortunately.
He was a bit of a dud, let's be honest. He just wasn't good enough. And we Spurs tried to love him, but I don't think he would be any better under Jose than he was anywhere else.
You know, if he would have put the ball in the back of net against West Ham at the new stadium, maybe it would
you
have
never
turned
know.
out different.
You never know. That's true. He didn't have that shot blocked off the line in the last minute.
Let's move on. Liam Rutherford says Ndombele has the potential to be our best player if he stays fit. I really don't think that's an unpopular opinion. I think that is a very, very popular opinion.
If he can last more than 45 minutes,
if he can last more than 10 minutes.
We've said it many times. Ndombele has so much quality about him. It's just so many things he has to get right in terms of his physicality and how he can perform in the Premier League, and he needs to offer more. But technically, dribbling wise, technical ability, second to none. We've seen that for sure. I think vision as well. He's got very good vision about him. A weight of pass. He's got so many good qualities. He just needs to up his physicality, and I think it just remains to be seen whether he's right for the Premier League. And at the moment, the jury's out about it. But I think I think he's got the quality to be. I think
he's shown big glimpses in the Premier League how he can control the midfield. It turned a bit sour towards the end of the season or before lockdown, around that Southampton game. But I thought first half of the season and maybe first half of the season, I thought you saw glimpses of Ndombele being a proper Premier League player. Something just happened with him with injuries or something. If he gets his head right, I think he can be one of the Premier League's best players.
Best midfielders for sure.
Best players in general. I think he could be one of Europe's best players, but it just remains to be seen if his head's right, if he wants to be at Tottenham. But if he doesn't want to be at
Mourinho,
if he doesn't want to be at Tottenham, then we got to get rid as soon as possible.
And get someone who does want to be here. That's right.
Brian Hins says we're winning a trophy in 2022. We're winning it in 2021, mate, and 2022.
Well, we're going to have another trophyless season. So what you're saying is we're going to have.
He never said we're not going to win a trophy in 2021.
Yeah, true. Okay, fair. So why specify 2022?
Because the year ends in 2.
Yeah, come on, the year ends in 1. But if we have another trophyless season, that means Harry Kane's leaving. So that means we're going to win a trophy once Harry Kane leaves. Is his assessment?
I mean, football's a funny old game.
Probably, it probably is going to happen. That probably is how it will be. But 2022, why not? Why not? What, Champions League? Why not?
Okay, now this name is going to be a bit tongue twister. It looks like a Greek name. It's Renos Papasfestiou.
Sounds like a guy who's been getting into fights with Harry Maguire.
I have no idea why people like Ben Davies. He is not fast enough to track back. He can't dribble. His delivery is poor and his defending is mediocre at best. I mean, this guy is proper putting Ben Davies down.
He's some doing more
Ben Davies dirty.
He's doing Davies he's consistent. We all know Davies. He's just you know what you're going to get with Davies.
It's that standard line every time we talk about Ben Davies. Anyone talks talking about you know what you're going to get with Ben Davies.
And that's poor crossing, average defending, can't get man. You know what you're going to get. I think, look, Davies isn't the best of players, best of defenders, but he's okay, I guess. I think, he tries hard every game. He gives his all for the shirt. I think he loves playing for Tottenham, and I don't hate the guy. I think we can upgrade on him. But I think Mourinho's a big fan of his. So
look, he's good at what he does. He's a versatile defender that can play left back and the left side of a centre back 3. So I think he's a good player to have. Whether I want him as my first choice left back is a different story.
I think he was perfect when he was understudy. I think that was
that's his forte, being an understudy.
Yeah, and he was perfect for the role.
That's Ben Davies in a nutshell. But look, Dennis Serkin, watch his space this season.
True. But yeah, I don't. He doesn't deserve hate. He doesn't deserve hate.
Not at all. He always gives his all to Tottenham Hotspur. Next up, Martin Shane, and he says Lloris is a terrible captain's choice, not a leader at all.
I don't think he's terrible captain, because I think he's a quiet leader, or he used to be a quiet leader. I think he's becoming more vocal, but I think he's a good captain. He's one of those captains who leads by example. He leads by showing instead of saying. So I think he's a good captain. I disagree with that. And don't become captain of your country and your club for no reason.
And it's not like he's captain of like Ivory Coast, where there's not that many good players. He's captain of France, World Cup winning team. They can field like 2 different teams of absolutely world-class players, and they chose Lloris to be the captain.
And you need leadership to win trophies like that.
Exactly. So look, I think you got to put a bit of respect on Hugo Lloris' name.
People always disrespecting Hugo, always.
100%. And I think definitely since Jose Mourinho's come in, you've seen a bit more of that leadership quality, and you've seen improvements in his game as well. So I would not remove him as captain. I wouldn't.
No, for sure. We've both said that maybe other people might be more suited to be captain, but we're not unhappy with Hugo as captain.
This is from our mate from up north, Alfie Parker, and he says Lucas Moura is the most overrated player in the Premier League. What he did in Ajax was unbelievable, but he's done nothing else in a Tottenham shirt.
No, come on.
Now you need to put respect on Lucas Moura's name.
Overrated in the Premier League. I don't know about that.
I'll tell you what else he's done in the Spurs shirt. 2 goals at Old Trafford. One of the best players since Mourinho's come into the club. I think he works hard 100% for the team every week in, week out. Yes, his end product can be improved on, but he is a brilliant player to have in your squad. I don't think he deserves to be starting every week, but he is one of the best squad players you can get, and probably one of the best squad players in the Premier League.
I completely agree. It's hard to add to that. I think that's completely spot on. Lucas has a lot of quality in him, and I think Mourinho sees that. I think he sees how he can work in a Mourinho system, how hard he can work in terms of his tracking back ability and hounding players down and having more of a say in the final third as well. And I think he's starting to do that. He's starting to get more passes, more assists. So, I think he does need to improve his output, but not the most overrated in the Premier League. Come on. I don't think anyone rates him that highly, to be honest. So I don't see how it can be overrated.
I rate him highly.
I know, but I don't think in general people he's rated so highly in general.
And the last but not least on this episode is another one from Alfie Parker, and he says, this is an unpopular opinion, definitely around the Premier League anyway. He says Lo Celso is better than Bruno Fernandes.
That's what Jose says. Jose says he wouldn't swap him for Bruno. I think Bruno is a penalty king. I think if you take away penalties, you're probably right. If you take away penalties...
Actually, do you think if United would not have got so many penalties and Bruno wouldn't have scored so many goals because of his penalties, do you think the rest of the Premier League are looking at Lo Celso and Bruno in a more even kill?
Probably. I think a lot of Bruno... I think Bruno's penalties have definitely elevated him to a level where he might not, like people saying he's the best player since Cantona for United and all that stuff. It's like, all right, let's just calm down.
He has transformed United.
He has as a team. I don't think it's him specifically. I think as a team
he was like a missing part of a jigsaw.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think he's been good. No, look, I'm not going to say he's rubbish because that's not true. He's been good. He's been great for United.
He's a class player.
He's a good player. He is a class player.
Should be a Spurs player, but he's a class player.
But I think in general, in terms of influencing games, I think Bruno probably does shade it. But I think Lo Celso is a quality player.
Let me put it to you this way: we were linked with Bruno Fernandes, we didn't get him, and we got Lo Celso instead. Are you happy, or would you have rather Bruno Fernandes? Because it was one or the other for us, wasn't it?
At the moment, I would say I'm reluctantly, I would say Bruno, but I want to give Lo Celso another season. Because you've got to remember, he only started playing in January.
No, don't speak about it like that. Give him another season because he's absolutely a class player. And
I agree.
And yeah, his assists and goals haven't been up there this season. But look, you got first season in the Premier League. He's looked like one of our best players. He looks like technically one of the best players we've had in a long time as well. You were putting him in there with Modric when you first saw him in the centre mid.
I think he could be our best centre mid since Modric. Yeah.
So look, I don't want to hear any negativity.
I'm not saying he's
Gio.
as good as Modric.
No, you were saying that he could be our best central midfielder since Modric.
Yeah, but I'm not saying he's as good as Modric. He's not there yet. Look, you got to remember, Celso only really broke into the team in January. Yeah. So he's had 6 months of playing class, and you could say the same in Bruno. But at least Bruno has immediately started contributing heavily at the other end of the pitch.
But Celso was playing a different role.
I know he was, and so then in that case you can't really compare them. Because Bruno plays for Bruno's more Dele Alli in that kind of role, a lot further forward. I think I would like to see Lo Celso given a whole season. I think he will. I really believe Lo Celso given a whole season more consistently starting will start contributing a lot more further forward, and then we can see really.
All right. Well, there you have it. That is the first episode of the Facebook Unpopular Opinions. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of all these opinions. Were they right? Were they wrong? Were they popular? Were they unpopular? Let me know in the comment section below. And as always, come on, you Spurs.